chose her so-called brother over the man who would have given her the world. But fate had its own plan. When the truth unraveled, her tears couldn't bring back what she'd lost. Breakheart, watch till the end. Every twist will shatter your heart. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel for more heart-wrenching emotional stories that will leave you breathless. I never thought love could destroy a man until she looked me in the eyes that night and said, "I can't be with you, Aiden. He needs me more." Her voice trembled, yet her decision was final. She chose him, the man she called her brother, over me. I remember standing under the cold drizzle outside her apartment, the city lights blurring through tears I refused to shed, wondering how someone's love could change overnight. But what she didn't know was that I wasn't who she thought I was. Beneath the quiet, ordinary mask of a struggling artist, I was the hidden heir to the Blackwell Empire, a fortune people would kill for. I had hidden my identity for years to find someone who'd love me for me, not the power or the money attached to my last name. And for a while, I thought Emily was that person. She saw beauty in my brokenness, hope in my silence, and she once said, "Even if you had nothing, I'd still choose you." But when her so-called brother, Nathan, reappeared, fragile, mysterious, claiming to be dying, everything changed. It started small. Missed calls, canceled dates, distant eyes. She began lying, saying she was with friends when she was actually spending nights at Nathan's rundown apartment. I confronted her once, voice shaking with disbelief, asking if there was something between them. She looked away, and I saw a flicker of guilt she tried to hide. "He's family, Aiden," she said softly. "You wouldn't understand." But I did understand, too well. I'd seen enough betrayal to recognize it when it crawled under my skin. What she didn't know was that Nathan wasn't who he said he was. He was a con artist, someone I'd seen in the underworld of corporate espionage years ago when my father's enemies tried to destroy our company. Nathan had changed his name, but his eyes, cold, deceitful, calculating, remained the same. I hired someone to follow him, and within a week, I had proof. Fake medical records, offshore accounts, and photos of him meeting with men who once tried to blackmail my father. But Emily wouldn't believe me. When I showed her the evidence, she tore the papers apart, screaming, "You're jealous! You're trying to control me!" That was the night she walked out, choosing Nathan over me. The night the man I loved more than my own life died inside me. For months, I disappeared. I left the city, took refuge in the quiet of my family's countryside estate, trying to drown the pain with isolation. My mother thought I'd lost my mind. "You can't hide forever," she said. "If she was foolish enough to lose you, that's her burden to carry." But love doesn't vanish just because reason demands it. Every memory of Emily haunted me. Her laughter in the rain, the way she'd hold my hand when she was scared, the promise in her voice when she said, "We'll make it, no matter how hard it gets." I tried to hate her. I really did. But hate is a luxury the heart denies when love runs too deep. So when my assistant, Lucas, came rushing in one morning saying, "Sir, there's news about her," my heart stopped. Emily was in trouble. Nathan had vanished, taking with him everything. Her savings, her apartment, her dignity. And the worst part, he had framed her for fraud, using her name to launder stolen money. I flew back to the city that same night. The moment I saw her sitting in that interrogation room, her eyes red from crying, hands trembling, I felt a mix of fury and heartbreak. She looked up at me as if seeing a ghost. "Aiden?" she whispered, voice barely audible. I could have walked away. I should have. But love doesn't work like that. I used my influence quietly, ensuring the charges were dropped, wiping every trace of her involvement. But I didn't tell her. Instead, I watched her from the shadows, wanting to see if she'd rise again or crumble. Days turned into weeks, and I saw a woman transformed, broken but rebuilding, betrayed but breathing. She worked as a waitress in a rundown diner, often skipping meals to save money. And once, when she thought no one was watching, I saw her weep into her hands under the flickering streetlight. That night, I couldn't stop myself. I left an envelope of cash on her doorstep, no note attached. She never knew it was me. Months later, fate spun another cruel twist. My father passed away suddenly, and overnight, my hidden identity became public. The media exploded with headlines, "Blackwell heir returns." I attended the funeral in silence, the cameras flashing, the world watching as I stepped into power I'd long avoided. But the night after, something unexpected happened. Emily came to see me. She stood at the gates of the mansion, rain soaking her clothes, eyes wide with disbelief. "You're the heir?" she stammered. I nodded, expression unreadable. She looked like she wanted to speak, but guilt choked her voice. "Why didn't you tell me?" she whispered. "Would it have changed anything?" I asked quietly. "Would you still have chosen him over me?" Her tears mixed with rain, and for a moment, I saw regret carved deep into her face. "I was stupid," she sobbed. "I thought I was helping him. He said he'd die without me." Her voice broke, and I realized she wasn't cruel, just blind in her kindness. Still, I couldn't let her back in so easily. I turned away, saying coldly, "Love isn't about saving others while destroying the one who loved you most." But fate, it seemed, wasn't done weaving our story. Days later, a package arrived at my office. Inside was a USB drive marked with Nathan's name. I played it, and my blood ran cold. It contained footage of Nathan meeting with my company's rivals, revealing he'd planned to use Emily to get close to me, to manipulate her emotions and find a way into my life. He'd had discovered my true identity before she did, and everything he did was a setup. But what stunned me most was the ending of the recording. Nathan's voice saying, "She really loves him. Too bad she'll take the fall for both of us." I clenched my fists, realizing Emily's love, though misdirected, was never fake. I found Nathan before the police did. He was hiding in a motel, paranoid and drunk. When he saw me, his face turned white. "You don't scare me, Blackwell," he sneered. I didn't need to. I simply tossed the USB on the table and said, "You'll pay for what you did to her." He was arrested 2 days later, and Emily's name was finally cleared. The day I went to see her again, she was working at a small art studio, painting for therapy sessions. She didn't look up when I entered, but when she finally did, her brush fell from her hand. "Aiden?" she breathed. I looked around. Her paintings were filled with sadness, but one caught my eye. A faceless man standing in the rain, holding out his hand toward a woman walking away. "That one's called Too Late," she said bitterly. I walked closer and replied softly, "What if it isn't too late?" She shook her head, tears glistening. "You saved me when I didn't deserve it. You gave me everything, and I gave you pain." I smiled faintly. Maybe pain was just love's disguise. The silence between us was thick, heavy with memories and what-ifs. Then, almost instinctively, she reached out and held my hand, whispering, "If you can forgive me, I'll never let go again." Forgiveness isn't a switch. It's a storm that passes through you, tearing apart resentment until only love remains. I forgave her, not because she asked, but because I couldn't carry the bitterness anymore. We started anew, cautiously, rebuilding trust brick by fragile brick. And then, one night, under a blanket of stars at the Blackwell estate, I told her everything, the truth about my inheritance, my silence, my pain. She wept. Not for the wealth or the name, but for the years lost in misunderstanding. "I never needed your fortune," she said. "I only ever needed you." That was the night I finally kissed her again, not as the man she once abandoned, but as the man who'd loved her through every storm. Years later, when our story became known, people called it a miracle. Two broken souls who found their way back despite every lie, betrayal, and wound. But for me, it was never about revenge or redemption. It was about love's quiet strength, the kind that survives even when everything else dies. Sometimes, I still remember that rainy night, and I smile, because now I know she didn't choose her brother over me, she chose the wrong truth. And fate, merciful as it was cruel, gave us a second chance to rewrite it. So if you're listening, remember this. Love is not about being chosen first. It's about being the one worth choosing when all illusions fade. And in the end, she chose me. Not because I was the heir to a fortune, but because I was the man who never stopped loving her, even when she thought I'd gone forever.